Hey y'all, and welcome back. Today we will be reviewing and reacting to another Slapped Ham video titled Very, 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 Very Scary Videos. I just hope they're very, 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 very scary because I need something to scare me sometimes. Do y'all get that way sometimes where you feel like maybe just you need a good scare? I mean, let's face it, most of today's horror movies are not all they're cracked up to be, you know? So let's just hope these videos are really, 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 really scary. If they are, then I will applaud them. All right, so enough of that. Let's get into it.
This next clip was sent in by one of our viewers, Brian. It's captured on a home security camera set up in the bedroom, and what it shows is pretty strange. Brian explains that he and his wife moved into the home on February 4th, 2024, and that they later discovered a man had passed away in that very room almost exactly a year earlier, February 3rd, 2023. A mist-like shape can be seen slowly rising up from the bed. Brian says this wasn't the first unexplained event they've experienced in the home. The TV in the same room has reportedly turned off by itself twice, and other small disturbances have been noticed since moving in. So what do you think? Is this a trick of lighting, or could this strange mist be something more?
Now, this one's interesting just simply because I have heard from a lot of people in the paranormal community where they've videotaped or photographed instances where a mist-like substance appeared within the videos and everything like that. And these are mostly because I've personally seen them and everything like that. These have been more abandoned areas and things like that. I've never seen them really in an occupied home and everything like that. So, I mean, some of that instances is if you forget that you've got maybe a humidifier that's either warm mist or cool mist, depending on whichever humidifier you use, based on the temperature in the room and what sort of type of mist that the humidifier creates can create this I'm going to be repeating myself a lot of times with the mist-like anomalies that would pop up in pictures or in videos. And people wouldn't be, consciously thinking of it because, honestly, you're in a darkened room such as this one and you can't really see it. But the camera can pick up some of the low lighting features and it would kind of shine a bit more. So I don't know how the room's laid out, but that can be a possibility for this. Even though, like I said, I have seen paranormal proof of apparitions being more of like a fog or a mist-like substance within pictures. So, I can possibly see this as being a possible happening. As for some of the other things like he was talking about in terms of like the TV going off by itself randomly, I don't know if they brought this TV in from their old residence and brought it over, or if they purchased a new one, because there's been instances where I've got a new TV, or if I'm like in a hotel room or something like that, and then after a while, all of a sudden it shuts off. And then I'm like, what's going on? Why did it shut off? And then you come to find out that the timer has been put in place on the television. So, that can explain that as well. But if these are, I'd have to do a little bit more personal research into it like that. Like I would have to go, if this was me and they asked me to come and investigate and everything like that, I would double check for, like I said, with the mist like apparition that came up in their home security footage. I would say I would be checking for humidifiers and asking questions in terms of that instance. And as for the TV, I would like to personally go into the settings and make sure that there wasn't a timer on that they didn't know about. So there's a lot of that type of situation to consider, but these right here, this doesn't look too, you know, like a hoax. I couldn't think of the best word to describe it, but a hoax. These seem like, some sort of like genuine, because it's not too far out there on the realm of possibilities of it happening. I mean, it's not like some strange scary face coming up that could be a pareidolia effect or anything like that. This is just a simple mist floating, and it's a controlled area, such as a room inside of a building as opposed to outside. So you kind of limit the amount of external forces that could actually happen in a situation like that. So I would like, if I was the person they called to investigate, if they started having a little bit more problems and they did reach out to somebody, I would be looking into situations like that and then draw my conclusions from there and do my own testing on that. But let me know what y'all think. Do y'all think this is real, or could there be some sort of normal household occurrences happening that's causing these extra little things for this gentleman and his family? I mean, because you think about it, moving into a new location, it kind of can make you feel a little weird at first, it's something that's not natural for you right yet, because it does take some time to get used to a new location once you've moved. So, we can take that into consideration as well. So, you know what? Let me know what y'all think in the comments down below, and we'll move on to the next one.
This next one is deeply unsettling, and eerily, the original uploader has since deleted their account. No one knows exactly why. Some even wonder if something bad happened. The footage was captured by a night security guard working at a crematorium inside a cemetery.
They turn off automatically at a certain hour. And I'll tell you right now.
The guard said he wanted to record the area to show his brother-in-law just how creepy it felt to patrol the grounds after dark.
I'm going to walk you through.
At first, everything seems calm, but as he walks past the cremation furnaces, a series of sharp tapping sounds can be heard on the audio.
Now, I have a friend that works that he would see and hear things coming from these furnaces when they're burning the bodies. So when I'm walking through here...
Then, in the next room, something super creepy happens.
They usually put the urns out to send to the families. So when I'm walking here at night, I walk right by these urns that they put on these tables here. And then I come down, freaking out.
A single urn begins to vibrate on its own, while every other urn in the room remains completely still. Moments later, the lid on that same urn begins to creak open by itself. Panicking, the guard bolts out of the room and reports the incident to his supervisor. But before the clip ends, the camera captures one final chilling detail. As he runs through the doorway, the plastic flaps on the door move, as if something unseen is following him out. So what was really going on in that crematorium? A draft, vibrations from machinery, or something far more sinister still lingering among the ashes?
I'm sorry. Just to begin with, I feel working as an overnight security at a crematorium would be creepy in and amongst itself to begin with. I mean, think about it. I mean, your mind's people have a tendency to over-imagine and over-exaggerate things in the head, but a place that like funeral homes, crematoriums, morgues, things like that, these bring about a sense of distress because you know that these areas have had people in them that have moved to the other side, so to say. I'm not gonna use the word, but everybody knows what I'm saying. These people have passed on to another realm, moved to the other side, whatever term you like to flower up a morbid situation, we can utilize right here. But I mean, you think about it. So many people fear the inevitable. So therefore, places where people who have already been to the inevitable, there we go, give us another one. Places that house these situations of people who have moved on and moved to the other realm, it brings a sense of dread and fear to people who are working in situations like that. Unless they've gotten used to it, then, they and have an understanding of the process we call life, then, it don't bother them so much. People who don't fear the inevitable don't really worry too much about things. And I think that's kind of also why a lot of them also don't get scared as much, because you understand that is life, and that is how the process of everything goes. Once what was new is also turned to old. Is the best way to say it. But just in general, that would be such a creepy area to work in. And as for like some of the audio crackling and things like that, you could have the possibility of electromagnetic pulses, like EMPs. That's how we get EVPs and the electronic voice phenomenon. You're using electricity to draw in energy and things like that. But also in terms of electricians, they do use the same type of meters that the paranormal use, because you're looking for electricity, right? And some of these buildings, I don't know how old this place is, but a lot of industrial areas sometimes do have poor wiring as they get older. And so there could be a possibility of that's the reason why the recording is crackling underneath. You heard that like that going on. Well, that can always happen when a electrical spike or electrical surge happens in an area, and that can happen due to poor wiring. So we can keep that in mind for this building. But for some of the other things, like those plastic, the plastic that was hanging down that would go from more of a refrigerated area or an area, case in point, where there would be a lot of possibility of ash and things of that manner, but mostly it's in cooling and freezing, with the plastic curtains hanging down. Now, I've worked retail. I've worked in coolers, freezers, and things like that. I've dealt with those type of curtains and everything like that. And, those are pretty heavy, and it has to be a really, really, really surge of strong wind shot through it for those panels to move like that. Sure, they'll float in the breeze of the cooler or freezer, when the fans are on, they'll flow, but it's not going to be kicked up like somebody just threw their arms up and kind of opened it like they were mad, because that's almost the way that came. It came more of a rush, a little push, a little extra force, So that was very, very strange. And only way I could see, but it'll still be a little hard to do, is, kind of like the overlay thing we were talking about and everything. But some of the things, I don't feel as though this is kind of a interesting one, just with like the ashes and all that. This is a very strange one, in my opinion. And what makes it even stranger, I mean, it happens. It really happens in social media and everything like that. People do delete their accounts, or they have them deleted. But this right here, it's always strange when you only have one sole video like this get uploaded and then the account's deleted. So it disappears with the exception of other people sharing it on their social media. Like, say for example, if I ever deleted my videos, right? Only way that they would still survive is if somebody else re-uploaded it to their channel. So, I could see that's why we have this video footage right now. But it's just interesting to me that it didn't seem like they had a lot of other videos, that it was just like all of a sudden they deleted it real quick. I mean, that just sounds real interesting to me. It's almost like if it was very soon after this video, I don't think anything really happened to them. Possibly. I hope not. But, it's just for it to be uploaded and then all of a sudden quickly deleted the whole account. It's like almost like they wanted to bury it, get rid of it. You know what I mean? I mean, if y'all think differently and y'all think that this would be the ultimate way to pull off a hoax, let me know in the comments below, because I can also go into that route as well. But let me know what y'all think about this video, because to me, this is very interesting. I mean, I don't know of too many. I mean, quite frankly, I wouldn't whenever the inevitable happened to me. I don't think I'd be hanging out in a crematorium myself. I think I'd be going all over the place if I wanted to. Because now, hey, guess what? I don't have to worry. I can float my way, or fly my way, or teleport my way, however, spirits move. I would be popping myself everywhere, just to see things that I want to see, especially if I had the cognition of knowing and sensing that I have done moved on to another plane of existence. Y'all feel me? Anyway, I think I done ranted along on this one enough. Let me know, like I say, let me know what y'all think about this video. Because like I say, it's pretty interesting and kind of quasi-compelling to me. But let me know in the comments what y'all think, and I'll move on to the next one.
This next clip comes from the YouTube channel Paranormies, who several years ago uploaded their second paranormal investigation of a supposedly haunted investment property owned by a man named Jeffrey.
Rachel, would you like to speak with us one more time?
According to local rumours, the house is haunted by the spirit of a woman named Rachel, who is said to have died tragically after discovering her husband's infidelity.
That's weird.
The details surrounding her death remain unclear, but some claim she fell or was pushed down the stairs.
We eventually caught something that seemed to be walking through this area.
This way, yeah, back into the bathroom.
Armed with spirit boxes, K2 meters, and REM pods, the Paranormies team set out to uncover the truth behind Rachel's fate.
And Rachel, we believe that your name is Rachel. We would like to talk to you once again. Do you remember us?
Francis.
Throughout their investigation, they received several eerie responses through the equipment suggesting that Rachel fell, leading them to believe her death may have been an accident rather than murder or suicide. But what they captured on camera that night has viewers questioning whether they actually filmed something supernatural. While exploring the living room, the team captured something eerie.
Brilliant.
Brilliant that what? That we set the Ouija board up in the same spot?
The shape appears faint at first glance, but when slowed down, a figure becomes visible. The investigators confirmed that multiple camera angles were recording the same area, yet the reflection only appeared in the TV. No team member was near the spot at the time, and moments later, when the camera panned toward it, no one was there. Later in the investigation, things take another chilling turn.
Was she like pregnant when
I don't know.
when she died? Like that is that another?
Or was there a child involved? That's why there was like a
that.
cheating scandal thing with the cousin or something. Like, was she pregnant? That's why he was like running off. Maybe there was a reason.
While discussing their findings, the footage shows a woman-shaped figure walking past a window in the background. The team didn't notice it in real time. It was only spotted later during editing. Later that evening, during a Ouija board session, something odd happens.
Well, we can't say goodbye.
and we'll come over there.
Oh.
A black mass can be seen drifting through the adjacent room. Whether it was a camera glitch or something else entirely, the team insists it had visible depth and movement that couldn't easily be explained. Finally, while filming in the basement laundry, they captured perhaps the most disturbing moment of all. In the reflection of a mirror, a full-bodied apparition appears, a woman with dark hair standing silently behind them. When the footage is slowed down, the figure is unmistakable. The team was visibly shaken. They review footage from another angle, confirming no one else was present in the basement during the recording. So have the paranormies done what countless investigators before them have only dreamed of? Have they captured definitive proof of a ghost on camera? I'll let you decide.
Now, I have heard of the Paranormies YouTube channel. I haven't ever met them personally, but I have seen a couple of the episodes, and some of the content that they have shown is very, very intriguing, to say the least. Like I said, I've never met them personally, and I mean, they just seem a little bit sincere from what I see is going on with a lot of with some of their videos and everything. And I just, to go back and have a second investigation at the same location is always a bit interesting, because there's a lot of times where you can find more information out than what you previously had available to you. Like, I could go, say I went to somebody's house, right? And that was my first investigation there. And I didn't get too much because they're having those problems. They need, like, kind of almost like ASAP, needing somebody over there to figure out what's going on with them and everything like that. Now, you don't have enough time to get access to the free public records you can get from the houses and everything. You don't have time to do something like that. But, you go, you investigate, you either find something or you don't. But for them to require to have a second investigation there, that means they found stuff intriguing. I haven't seen this particular episodes for this house, so, I don't know exactly what they found to begin with on the first investigation. So, like I said, for them to have a second investigation, it means that they found more information, or they've had a very fruitful first investigation. I mean, that would be one of the reasons I'd have a second chance to go back to a location, in my opinion. But during that time, you can also get more information while you're waiting to do the second investigation. You can look at public records and find out if there was or wasn't a person who passed away in the home, or if this place was actually legitimately built on native land that was sacred, or an old church cemetery, things like that. You can find out more information on public records dealing with the land and everything like that. So that would be one thing that I would have checked with it, because even though we're seeing a clip, we don't know exactly if they had got confirmation that a woman named Rachel had passed away in this home. So assuming that they are pulling up and asking questions such as this, it would suggest that there was a possibility that they really didn't look into records, because they're asking questions about, is the person here named Rachel, and things like that. Because it just, to me, the research didn't exactly go there, but that you never know, because before the house was built, there could have been somebody named Rachel that had passed on in that area, as opposed to somebody living in the house. But I digress on that. But it's just interesting, especially where, if you were ever wondering if it could be determined, is it or isn't it? Is it a male or is it a female? Is it something that's just playing around saying that it is one, but it's actually the other, trying to, mess with your brain and everything like that? It's kind of hit or miss with stuff like that, because you could be thinking you're talking to a small child, but you're actually talking to Pazuzu. Let's put it that way. If y'all know the Exorcist reference, then you know what, you got points in my book. Anyway, this is all the stuff that was going on in this home, is really interesting. And just, I think one of the main takeaways for me was just how active it seemed, almost to the point of being too active. But then again, I have been in places where it was pretty active, but some of that was more residual. Now, a quick story from me, actually, that had happened in my family. It wasn't me who had this experience, but it was a female relative of mine, I will say. When my grandmother passed away many moons ago, basically, she had a routine of when she would wake up and everything while she was still alive. And she always had this certain time frame in which she would wake up and walk to the kitchen to basically start the day, to make breakfast, make coffee, things like that. So, well, this female relative of mine was actually at my grandparents' house. I would say this was maybe 3 weeks after my grandmother had passed, and while she was taking a shower, around that time that my grandmother would wake up, she was taking a shower, and mind you, it's an old house, and floorboards would creak. So she's taking a shower, washing her hair, and all of a sudden she hears certain floorboards creak, and they creaked in a way that it sounded how when my grandmother would walk in the hallway. And this actually happened because she was living there at my grandparents' house at the time. This would happen for at least 2 weeks straight. Each morning when she would wake up to go take her shower to get ready for work, she would hear it sounding like my grandmother was walking through the hallway. So, you can think of something like that, and that seems pretty active because it's happening on a daily occurrence at a certain time of day. Because I can be honest with you, there's places that are haunted. You go there and visit them, and nothing happens. Absolutely nothing happens. It's like you going and taking a stroll in the park, you know? So, I mean, it's all kind of hit or miss sometimes, but it's always interesting in terms of, like I say, what happened with my relative and what they're going through now. Having something that's pretty active, you know? And so it's always interesting to see stuff like this that happens. I mean, are all of it possibilities? Like, okay, for example, the reflection in the TV screen that was only seen in the TV screen, and then when they panned towards the couch, they didn't see anybody. That could be an instance of pareidolia, maybe with the light reflecting off of it from cameras, or just a lot of things could be at play there. But it did strangely look like a woman sitting on that couch. But there are instances where you want to see something, even though there was nothing there, but you see it. That's what I'm getting at there with that. So, I mean, but still, some of the things they had some pretty compelling evidence. I mean, if y'all disagree, write it in the comments below. Let me know what y'all think. Is this all good staging and editing on their behalf, or did they actually find anything in this house? Let me know what y'all think in the comments below, and let's move on to the next.
This next clip was sent in by one of our viewers. Captured by Tesla's built-in security system, the footage shows a quiet, empty FedEx parking lot late at night. The car's motion sensors suddenly trigger, activating the side camera, and what appears next has left viewers divided. Out of nowhere, an enormous mass manifests directly in front of the Tesla. Some believe this is just a camera glitch or a raindrop hitting the lens, especially since near the end of the footage you can spot what seems to be another droplet sliding down the screen. But others are convinced it's something more, a sign from above, or perhaps even a guardian spirit watching over the driver. So what do you think? A glitch in the machine or a glimpse of the divine?
Honestly, with this clip, I do not think it's either a glitch in the system or a glimpse of the divine, but just a simple raindrop. If y'all slow down the video footage, because I looked at it several times and kind of slowed it down just a little bit just to see it, y'all can see where a drop of rain does hit that lens right before this quote-unquote apparition appears. And towards the end of the clip, you do see another one pop up too. So this is just simple little rain droplets just dropping, maybe, like the beginning of a shower or something like that. And maybe the only reason why the camera alerted, I would feel that with it being a Tesla, is maybe since it was such like a calm night to begin with, no wind, no nothing, that first unexpected raindrop on that side had, woke up the sensors, so to say, of something near the car. And so it just does that little basic recording. That's pretty much it with this one. So, like I said, it's not the divine. It's not a glitch in the Tesla system, though I have heard a couple of things that kind of glitch on those. But, this right here is not a glitch. So let's move on to the next one, shall we?
This next story takes us deep into the jungles of Kelantan, Malaysia, where two friends claim to have had a terrifying encounter unlike anything they'd ever seen before. While travelling through a restricted area of the tropical forest one evening, the pair reported a sudden sense of dread, followed by an encounter that would leave them shaken for life. Panicked, one of the men scrambles up a nearby tree while his friend, who is much closer to the unidentified figure, narrowly escapes being grabbed. To this day, they have no idea what they saw, an undiscovered species, a supernatural entity, or something that was never meant to be found.
Tengok apa? Bukan Ma? Tengok. Halo? Ma, mau ada mana? Mari dekat kebun aku jap. Oh. Dah aku ni ada atas pokok ni ada beruang.
A word to the wise, in my personal opinion and personal experience, areas that are restricted are restricted for a reason. I mean, there's plenty of places throughout the world where there are tribes of people who are pretty much out of touch with the current technology and of people, how we currently are. So, I mean, and yes, I do mean everywhere. There are parts of the United States where people are completely off the grid. And that's the way they want to live. They got disenfranchised with the world surrounding them and decided they were going to homestead and go back to more of the later centuries forms and modes of technology, meaning horse-drawn carriages and things like that. So, you know, even though some of them do deal with modern society, sometimes because they have to, but they try to stay away from it as much as possible. But in other countries, I know there are some tribes that still to this day have no outside dealings at all. I mean, there's places in South America, and I'm pretty sure there's probably places, especially like in Malaysia, you know, Southeast Asia, some of the islands and things like that, where you have no other contact, and those are considered restricted areas. Whether or not this area of this park they're in, the reason why it's restricted is maybe there's a tribe there that people, you know, for fear of the safety of the public, they keep it restricted so as there won't be any issues with the local tribe, because people have gone missing in those type of places, and it's normally because they got too close with some of the tribes that are in those areas. Whether this is a case of that, I'm not too sure, because for all we know, there could be having a nice little we're gonna make our own basically movie on it, found footage styled movie, and that could have been a friend of theirs dressed up and kind of like slouched over and acting like they were chasing them, you know. There could be a lot of things with this, but like I say, word to the wise is do not go into restricted areas, because they're restricted for a reason, and it's normally most of the time to keep you safe as possible, because at the end of the day, nobody wants a lawsuit. All right, let's move on to the next one, shall we?
This next clip was sent in by a viewer named Neil, who captured something truly strange in the skies above Kalgoorlie Boulder, Western Australia.
What the hell is that?
While driving to work one morning, Neil noticed a white object floating in the distance.
What the hell is that?
Curious, he decided to investigate, stopping to ask a pair of school kids if they could see it too. One of them reportedly exclaimed, "That's what I was telling my friend about."
What the hell is that?
Neil drove closer and filmed the object, which appeared to be slowly rotating or tumbling high above the town. The mysterious shape stayed suspended in roughly the same position for over 30 minutes, showing no obvious signs of movement, propulsion, or descent. To this day, Neil has no idea what he witnessed, whether it was a weather balloon, drone, or something else entirely. Whatever it was, it left him, and those who've seen the footage, completely baffled.
I'll be honest with y'all, I'm kind of slightly baffled with it myself, but what's throwing me off on the whole thing is probably just how unsteady the object actually is within the video. I mean, it doesn't look like it's slowly tumbling, as they called it. It actually looks like it's kind of moving pretty fast, but also the camera angle, the camera was a bit shaky with it, so it throws me off a bit. So I can't perfectly see what I'm trying to see, because it's kind of grainy texture when he zoomed in, and it looks like, it's shaking a bit, so I can't make quite heads or tail of what it is. I know the object in question looks kind of white. It almost looks you know how like in cartoons, where back in the day cartoons, when they have the newspaper that was thrown by the kid on the bike, and just the setup and layout of how those newspapers specifically look, because I know regular sitcoms and everything also had those, but just I'm focusing mainly on the cartoon ones because of how fluffy and kind of strange they would look, especially when they started, like, they got rained on or something. Say the not Flintstones, because Flintstones use stone tablets on theirs, but just the other ones where the dog would go get the paper and the paper would be soaked, and it kind of had that weird kind of slightly lumpy, and you could tell damp look, and that's kind of what that almost reminded me of when I first watched it and everything. But it's just, like I say, it's too grainy and it's too just shaky. It's like almost a really bad shaky cam on it to be able to really discern what's up there. And I think that's probably more than likely the camera person's intent on it, because if you were able to focus clearly on it, you probably would be able to see what actually this item in question is. So, let me know what y'all think. Do y'all think the camera angle, the cameraman did it on purpose to make sure that we couldn't see what it was, or do y'all just think he was kind of a little bit more shaken up on, like, okay, what the hell is this? Why am I seeing this? I have no explanation. Let me know in the comments below which one y'all think it is, and we'll move on to the next one.
The legend of Theophilus Brome's Screaming Skull is one of the most famous of England's 7 well-documented Guardian skull hauntings. The skull, belonging to Theophilus Brome, sometimes spelled Broom, has been preserved for over 3 centuries at Higher Chiltern Farm in the quiet village of Chiltern Cantello, near Yeovil in South Somerset. To this day, it rests inside a wooden cabinet mounted on the farmhouse wall, a relic tied to a chilling legacy that refuses to fade. The story begins in the 17th century amid the turmoil of the English Civil War. Theophilus Brome was born a royalist, loyal to the crown, but became deeply disturbed by the brutal treatment of prisoners by King Charles's forces. His conscience drove him to defect to the parliamentarian Roundheads, a decision that would haunt him, literally and figuratively, for the rest of his life. When the monarchy was restored in 1660, Brome knew his allegiance switch had branded him a traitor. He feared that after his death his enemies would desecrate his remains, as was common for perceived traitors, by digging up his body and placing his head on public display. To prevent such humiliation, Brome made an extraordinary request. Before his burial, his head was to be removed and kept safe at the family home as its eternal guardian. He made his sister swear that his skull would never leave the farmhouse. His body was interred in the crypt of the local church, but his head remained behind, locked away in the farmhouse as a sentinel. Over time, the strange relic became the centre of local legend. According to witnesses, any attempt to remove or bury the skull unleashed supernatural chaos. Residents described horrid noises echoing through the farmhouse, dreadful screams rattling doors, and the violent shaking of windows. Items were thrown about, doors slammed on their own, and unseen hands tormented anyone who dared interfere with Brome's remains. The disturbances only ceased once the skull was returned to its rightful place inside the farmhouse. It was said that Brome's spirit, tied to the house by his dying wish, would never rest until his skull remained safely at home, a guardian of the living and a warning to those who would break his final vow. The legend is not merely folklore. It was first recorded in 1791 by historian John Collinson in the History and Antiquities of the County of Somerset. Collinson described how numerous tenants over the years had tried to bury the skull, only to be frightened by unearthly screams and noises. Further evidence appeared nearly 2 centuries later. When the church crypt was opened during restoration work sometime between 1860 and 1870, the skeleton identified as Brome's was indeed missing its skull, corroborating the tale. Several documented incidents have kept the legend alive, and each attempt to disturb the skull seems to have ended in misfortune. Circa 1770, a sexton tried to rebury the skull in the churchyard but was terrified when his spade broke in 2 while digging. Taking this as a bad omen, he quickly returned the skull to the farmhouse. 1826. During renovations at the farm, workers used the skull as a makeshift beer mug, reportedly passing it around in jest. Surprisingly, this act of disrespect caused no immediate supernatural reaction, suggesting that only removal or burial, not mockery, provoked the haunting. 1977. 2 researchers investigating the skull's authenticity decided to move it and joke about the legend. The consequences were swift and deadly. One man suffered a serious car crash, with some accounts claiming he was killed, while the other sustained severe burns after dropping a cigarette into his trouser leg. Today, the skull of Theophilus Brome remains sealed within its cabinet at Higher Chiltern Farm. Locals treat it with quiet reverence, a relic of both the Civil War's bloody history and the eerie folklore that binds England's haunted past. Whether viewed as a cautionary tale of loyalty and legacy, or a genuine case of supernatural guardianship, Brome's skull continues to watch over the farmhouse, silent but ever present. For those who believe in restless spirits, it's best to leave Theophilus Brome undisturbed, lest the screaming begin again.
And with this last clip, that is the end of this video. Now, I don't know, because, we're skipping through the videos. We're not hitting every single one of Slapped Ham videos in order, because that would be kind of a little bit more taxing, and I'd have to go back way back, because Slapped Ham's channel has been around for several years, and I thought we'd just pick and choose different tops and everything like that to react to, not necessarily going into order with any of these, just simply because I pick ones that I like, maybe the title of it or what it's about and things like that, to make it more fun and more entertaining. Because let's be honest, if any of y'all have ever watched reaction channels and things like that, sometimes when people react to other things that the person's doing, because I don't react to Slapped Ham himself, I react to the clips in general, and so I find ones that are more interesting for myself to go and talk about. I don't want to sit there and be talking about ones that are real kind of where you have to pull things out, so I don't know where he came from to go with this skull thing, but he was talking about a series of it just then at the beginning of it. So I'm really intrigued with this. I had heard about these skulls that were placed in England in some homes, like some of the more prominent type homes and things like that. I've heard about things like that. I've heard about people almost like keeping literal skeletons around too of family members and things like that. A lot of cultures do stuff like that. There's cultures in Asia or in more of the South American, cultures that actually do keep body parts of the deceased or the deceased themselves. I mean, you think about it. People who have been cremated after they had passed, you still have their body hanging around, in an urn somewhere. So it's everywhere that it's prevalent to keep some form of a person who's passed on in the family, whether it's an heirloom or the actual piece of the person. But anyway, I just find these very interesting, and it's something, to learn more about and everything. But one thing that was sticking out to me the most was with the two researchers in the 70s. The one had the car accident, and then one got severe burns after having their cigarette drop into their trousers. That's how he said it, right? I'm just trying to figure out. I've never heard of anybody dropping a cigarette into their pants. I've heard dropping them on their pants. I've never heard of into. If somebody has a story about that, leave it in the comments below, because I would like to know how somebody could drop the cigarette into their pants. Anyway, that's besides the point. But that's the only big takeaway I took from that. Like I say, these aren't something I can't really react to. I mean, I can tell y'all that I've heard about them. I can even maybe go into a little bit of history with it. But other than that, there's nothing really for me to react to. It's just that one strangeness that really, really, really stuck out to me. Like I said, please, if any of y'all have a story where somebody had dropped a cigarette into their pants, let me know in the comments below. But, and with that, I will say that this is the end of this episode. I hope y'all liked it. Like and subscribe if you did, and I'll catch y'all next time.